Hey guys, so remember how I was talking about this area here and how I was going to have to erase the lines and see if I need to add more to it? Well, I started to erase it and I'm like, you know what? I'll erase in front of you guys. You guys can see the transition. Okay, so we're going to erase all of the pencil lines around the chimney and the fireplace so you guys can see how it dramatically changes when there's no pencil holding lines around it. So yeah, you're going to have some shake on the camera. So, but I think it's important that you guys can see the transition as it happens. Okay, so go down here. Okay, so let's get rid of this. So there, you can see how it's changed. Okay, and how the white now stands out much more. So I'm looking at that and I like how it's looking. I think over here along this edge is the only area where I'm kind of disappointed. I think what I'm going to have to do is add darker lines to this grain so you get more definition. Plus that'll add to the how your light sources here, here, and here would be darker. So, and we're going to go over here. We're going to hit these over here where the wood grain is so you guys can see it also. So you guys can get a good look there. So you can really see now how the splits in the wood are really starting to stand out, which is what you want. So let's do one last. We'll do this area here. And then after that, we'll take a look and we'll see where we need to do some touch-ups. So, okay, so let's take another look here, and I like it. I like how that looks. Like I said, I think the only area and by putting some thicker dots here in the wood grain here, it's going to do two things. It's going to make the fireplace, this edge pop. I think it's also going to make his head pop out more. So let's go in here, get out the thick nib, and we'll start this up. Now, let's hopefully this will not be a focus on the hand. Let's see here. Okay, it's looking good. Sometimes when I get the camera too close, what ends up happening is the image is blurred and only thing you see is the hand, my hand working. So we'll just go in here, tighten up this wood grain here. That's working. So let's just keep going with that. So, and we're here on week 36 of Sign Comics on Twitter. And we start the week off with Gene Ha signing Shade #1. When I had Gene sign this issue, he told me he was laughing. Here, what it was is he did after he inked it, he made photocopies of it and had it as like a guide. And he hit the photocopy with Copics markers to like give a coloring guide, an idea of how to do it. Well, apparently he did such a good job. They shot it straight from that, and they didn't pay him extra for it. So I just he was like kind of like you bastards, but he took it in stride. So I guess kind of probably taught him also a lesson to always make certain when he does something like that in the future to make sure he gets paid. So, but I found that very interesting because he was going on he was like showing pages how like yeah this is all Copics marker, and that's the reason why uh, the book itself had such like a muted muted feel to the colors because it was shot straight from the photocopies. I would say he most likely, if anything, he learned his lesson. They didn't like write on it like Copics mark or color comp or something like. So, but like I said, it was like it turned out great. I mean, it gave the issue a nice, unique look and feel to it. Because remember, this series, he only did issue one. Issue two was done by uh, Williams. I can't remember his first name. It's Williams the Third. I think it's J. Williams the Third. And then issue three was Brett Blevins, and then Michael Zulu did issue four of the series. And it gave, because it was telling the shade throughout time, and it gave a nice distinct look and feel to each chapter of the story. So I'm sure, like Ados, if he was to do a in the gutter, if he was doing a spotlight on this uh, series, he would point that out how each issue had a distinct look and feel because of using a different artist with each chapter or each issue of the book. So, so let's see here. Yeah, it's much better, much better. And because I don't have any lines here, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to. His head naturally pops there. The only thing where I'm seeing, and see how I've got so much blank here. It allows these little white, this really like fine dots here on his arm. It still pops away forward away from the background because it's so fine, and what line work there is tight and controlled. So yeah, I think that turned out very well. So now we're going to go into over here and we're going to work on the blanket. So, and like I said, we're getting close to the end with this piece. I got to clean off this nib and use another one. But we're getting to the end of this piece where I won't be showing any more work on it. There's some spots like down here, like I know this guy can work in this panel here, but we're getting close to the end where I need to really focus and I can't be distracted with when doing a video. So, and yeah, we'll go with this nib. So, and then we go from issue 130. That was day 230, 243 with Shade issue number one. We go from that to day 244 with Sins of Youth. That was the event book done through the uh, Young Justice, and they had it where Claron the Witch Boy casts a spell, turning all of the adult superheroes into teenagers or infants, and the children were turned into adults. And it focused primarily around the Young Justice characters. So this particular issue was Wonder Woman is Wonder Girl, and Wonder Girl is Wonder Woman. So you had like a teenage Wonder Woman, and they had her done up in her typical adolescent garb when she was on Paradise Island, whereas Cassie was now dressed as Wonder Girl as a woman, and it was like flip flop. And this was actually, I think, a precursor because they were slowly getting Cassie to the point where they wanted to make her the new Wonder Girl, or they had her as Wonder Girl, but they really wanted to get her away from the costume she had at this point was uh, uh, I don't want to say a hand-me-down costume, but it was ones that were just patched together. She had a pair of like gloves, sneakers, elbow pads, knee pads. Like really just like thrown together whatever was in her closet. And she wore a wig with goggles. And this was, like I said, they're really because soon after, like after this issue was over or event was over, they slowly were changing her costume. So when they ended So when they finally, and actually when they got to the end of the Young Justice series, she wasn't wearing the black wig anymore. She was just her with her blonde hair, and they're slowly updating her costume more towards the classic Donna Troy Wonder Girl costume. So this was a nice like tease for it, and I had this one signed by Chris Ivy and Scott Collins. So it was. I know you know how I am. If I can get a book with multiple signatures on it, I enjoy it and I like it. It's not about if the book will have value in the future. It's one of those where it's like, I like this event, I like these issues, I like these characters, so that way that's the reason why I want them signed. So okay, let's get back to working here while I'm telling you. And from 244, we go to 245, day 245 with Starman number 17, signed by Scott Hanna. This is one of Scott's early work when he first got into comics. His first was, where he really was like a regular inker, was Hawk and Dove, and then from there he went to uh, Starman. And this is, of course, Starman when it was done by Rod Stern and Tom Lyle. And I liked how Tom Lyle drew and did Starman. I liked the costume design. So I really did like this. I didn't care for when they switched this costume to the black and red. I really didn't care for it. They made his hair black. I liked how he had like the mullet going on, as you can see on this cover, along with the star pattern designs they had on it. So this was, I know a lot of people, they herald the James Robinson, Tony Harris, uh, Starman as like the best version, which is a very good version. But for a regular like superhero book, I thought this was I like this version of Starman. But of course, part of it also the reason why I like it so much is because of Tom Lyle's pencils. He had, I feel that he had like a semi-image style before there was an image style. Particularly when you take a look at how he did his cross hatching in the backgrounds, uh, that became really big during the image era with those creators, and he was already doing it. So, like I said, I really do like Tom Lyle. Him and Paul Ryan are the two creators where it's like, damn, I never got a chance to meet them. So, I mean, there's a few others I haven't got to meet yet that haven't passed, and maybe I will get a chance to meet them, maybe I won't, but these are two artists that have passed, and whenever I bring it up and I talk, when I like this issue, and I had talked to Scott Hanna about this, he had nothing but great things to say about working with Tom Lyle. And the thing was, one thing I never knew was because you got to keep in mind this is pre-social media. Uh, Now with social media, again, from following more on social media, you get an idea of like where they live. I never knew that Tom Lyle lived in Pennsylvania in the Lancaster area. I never knew that. So I was like, damn, I loved his work so much, and here he was like literally just down the road from me. I could have like when I was in Lancaster, I could have bumped right in and not even know it. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm going light up here, but when I do this full here, that's gonna be black. So and so after this day, we go to 246. Stargirl Spring Break Special, signed by Todd Nayak. Now, here's the thing. I literally just had this signed like 2 weeks ago by Todd when he was at the Harrisburg Comic Con. And when I was going through my books and trying to decide like what I wanted him to sign, this was one of those books where it was like, do I want him to get him to sign it or not? This was kind of going, it was like when you're going through and you gotta decide what you're going to get what signed over other books. This one almost didn't make the cut, and I was flipping through it, and here in the story, her and Pat Dugan, they fly to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and they have it where they land the armor suit behind the Welcome to Myrtle Beach sign, and they then show them. They then do then you flip the page, and Todd is doing an establishing shot of Myrtle Beach, and I'm looking at that panel, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that's the actual shot of the beach. And I take the page and I show it to Ms. Stippling, and I go, "Do you remember this was?" And I show it to her, and I go, "Do you remember this shot, like this shot from when we were at Myrtle Beach?" And she looks at it and she goes, "Yeah." And she points to one of the buildings. She goes, "Wasn't that the building that every single night when we'd walk by on our on our daily walks on the beach? Wasn't that uh, where they had the DJ playing and all the music and whatnot?" I'm like, "Yes, it is." So the reason why I had him sign it, and I told him this, I'm like, "Yeah, that building right there is an actual building on the beach, and we saw it, and we'd walk by that every single night." And so I was like, "You passed the reference test." And he laughed. And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "How that's he'd been to like south to Myrtle Beach like one or two times, but he didn't look at it. He just did Google Images, and that one popped up. So, and he said how like, yeah. Then I showed him the one of the restaurant. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I couldn't actually name the actual name of the restaurant, so all I could do is get really close to the likeness, but not get an exact likeness." And I looked at him and I said, "Well, you did a good enough job because I remember that restaurant passing by it when we were driving on the main stretch of Myrtle Beach." So that's where when you're using reference, let's say like New York or St. Louis, even if it's not like a shot of the Statue of Liberty or the St. Louis Arch, you still need to get real reference of that area, so that way, when a local person or someone like myself, I was there and like, wait, I've been to Myrtle Beach, and that's an actual shot from Myrtle Beach. That's what you want. That is what you want. You don't want to just half-ass it. I mean, I see like there was one book. I'm not going to name the creative team, but you could tell that the artist really didn't uh, reference Harrisburg, and the big fight was taking place in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And as I'm looking at it, like, that's just a generic shot of a city, and at no point do I look at it and go, "That's definitely." And never once do I look at it and go, "That's Harrisburg." Uh, Todd, he referenced it. He made certain that yes, this is definitely Myrtle Beach. Anybody who's looking at that will definitely know that this is definitely Myrtle Beach, where these characters are, which is what you always want. You always want that. So, like if with the Printer's Devil, if John has a specific location for where the adventure is going to take place, I would hope that he would provide me with reference material, so that way I know when I'm drawing this street, I got to make sure these specific details are there, so that way anybody who lives in Philadelphia goes, "Yes, well, there are shots of that's what that street looked like during the era between the Civil War, during the Revolutionary War and the Civil War." So, and so that's where you need to be on your game with your reference material. So, yeah, Todd passed the test. So, and it was just great seeing Todd. And it was actually the first time I'd seen Todd at a to sign books at a convention. Because he's always been like, whenever I'd see him, he was always like at the local comic book store. He got along with the local comic book store, so he'd shown up a few times at the local store, and I'd get books signed there. So this is like the first time actually uh, seen him at a con. So then after that, we go to day 247, Suicide Squad number 34, signed by John K. Snyder III and G.F. Usherwood. This is where the Suicide Squad uh, goes to Apocalypse, and they basically win by the skin of their teeth. I mean, they really. In fact, I know it was weird. It was one of those weird things where I guess they need to have some people killed off, but they couldn't kill any of the villains. So they took some. So for whatever reason, they took the support staff with them, and they killed the. So what happens in an apocalypse? A world called Apocalypse. They take the support staff. What happens to support staff? Bang, you're dead. Bang, you're dead. Bang, you're dead. I mean, it was one of those where it's like, okay, okay, but I mean, it's like there really never was one that like, oh my god, they killed this character. It's like one of those where it's like, it's the support staff. You can replace them quick and easy. It's like it's like they took a bunch of red shirts with them. So, but I like the issue. And then of course, day 248, Superboy number 2, signed by Tom Grummett and Carl Kessel. And the reason why I wanted to show you this one to you guys, as opposed to showing you issue number 1, is this is the issue that introduces Knockout. I think Knockout had like a cameo shot in the end of issue 1, but they actually weren't showing all of her. This is where they show her completely in costume. And again, very buxom, very Amazonian type woman, and she's got the strength to take on Superboy, and she treats him like her own personal play toy. If this one's those, if the comics code had allowed it, I'm sure they would have had it where she outright raped him, because that's the type of woman she is. She really was a highly moralist woman. Of course, later on we discover that she was on Earth. I can't remember what the actual was. She was one of the Furies from Apocalypse, and I can't remember what it actually was. Why she was on Earth? Whether she was banished there or she was there on a mission or whatever it was. I just remember how it's like later on they established that she was a Fury, and she always had a nickname for Superboy. She never called him Superboy or Connor. She always called him Pup, like he was her little puppy for her to cuddle with and play with, and take his face and mash her in her chest. Yeah, so Superboy's first motorboat was with Knockout. So, but I enjoyed it. I mean, Tom Grummett did a really good job. Like I said, I look at Tom Grummett, I would say it's more of a, he does like a refined Kirby and how he does his poses and storytelling and whatnot. It's definitely one of those like his method of storytelling doesn't match today's method of storytelling, because today's method of storytelling in most Marvel and DC is just too slow. And it's one of those where it's like, whereas him, the way he does his storytelling, it's one of those where it's like, I can get you, this is a whole issue, I can get you there in a third of that time. So, but no, this was one of my favorites. Super, this is, in my opinion, this is my Super Bowl. This isn't Superboy's son. This isn't classic Cal when he was Superboy and then he'd be going off to hang out with a legion of superheroes until he became Superman. No, this is my version of Superboy, Connor Kent, and I always enjoyed it. Even when they had him grow up and he discovers that his his DNA is both uh, Clark Kent and Lex Luthor, and he shaves his hair and just wears a T-shirt. I still liked. This is still my Superboy. Even then, when they did that reveal and he changed his costume and whatnot, I just enjoy how they did it. I mean, and the thing is, the sales showed that the audience did feel the same way, that this was an authentic Superboy without the need to uh, have him so closely associated with Superman as they've done later on. So, I so, and then of course we end the uh, week with day 249, which is Super Sons Annual #1. This is where Superman's son and Batman's son are out getting in trouble and solving crimes. This was a big hit. Then DC made the big blunder of handing all the control to Michael Bendis, and Michael Bendis fucked it all up. But before he was handed the control, we have this story, which is an annual #1, signed by Peter Tomasi and Paul Pellier. Now, what I really like about this annual is there's no dialogue bubbles, because the story isn't about the two boys, it's about their dogs. And here, in the course of the story, they reveal not just the sidekick, not just Crypto, and I think the dog's name was a Great Dane. I think it was called like Butch or something. But they introduced all bunch of other uh, pets of the DC universe, including a parrot that was the sidekick to Plastic Man. And it was just a really neat. Basically, like dogs and cats are being abducted by this alien, and the pets have to foil the alien. And the whole thing is done. The whole thing is done with visuals, no dialogue at all, except for maybe like some barks and arfs. Okay, because I mean these dogs don't talk. These pets do not talk. They're dogs, regular dogs. Woof woof. I think that was woof woof, bark bark, woof woof. I think that was the extent of the dialogue done in sound effects. So I really enjoy, and that just shows the strength of A, the script, and B, the artwork, that they could do a full issue without any dialogue. I think there might be a little bit of dialogue in the very beginning and very end, but really no, it's all done through visuals. And that is the strength of storytelling, is being able to tell a story with no dialogue. And this story does it. So that's the reason why I wanted to include this one in this this one over other issues for day 249. So tomorrow is day 250. Got a good one for you guys. Got a good one for you guys. So, okay, guys, this video is over. I'll finish this up tomorrow. If I do a video tomorrow, I don't know. It really tomorrow. If I do a video on Sunday, it's all going to depend really on whether I have something to talk about. If I don't have anything to talk about, I'm probably not going to do one. So, but you guys have a great day. You know I'm having a great day. But remember, when life is stressful, take it all one dot at a time.